What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Unsolved Enigma. We got your boy Aaron over here with my lovely wife Nicole, and we got an interesting one for y'all today, so let's go ahead and get into it.
Nikki Whitehead was born April 18th, 1975, in prison while her mother was doing time for drug possession, and she was raised by her grandmother.
Nikki became pregnant by the age of 17 with twins, and she named them Jasmia and Tasmia, Taz and Jazz for short. The three of them lived with Nikki's grandmother, so the twins' great-grandmother, for like the first 12 years of the girl's life.
So when the girls were 13, Nikki took custody of them and moved to Conyers, Georgia, which was about 20 minutes away from her grandmother. The girls were honor roll students, and they were in dance classes, they were in Girl Scouts, and overall they seemed to be doing really well until they got to high school.
So Nikki thought Jazz and Taz were sexually active and smoking pot. They were young teenagers out and about, which, of course, Jazz and Taz were saying that was hypocritical because their mom was smoking weed and she was being promiscuous herself, which led to arguments, disputes going back and forth, and it caused a strain on the relationship between the girls and their mother. All of that strain and then the disputes and everything led to multiple 911 calls, and I'm sure enough the police ended up showing up multiple times, of course. I'm not surprised. I mean, me and my brother used to fight all the time. We never fought our moms, but don't look at me like that. But we ain't never had no cops called. Me and my brother grew up with our great-grandmother. She raised us, so.
It's twins.
Yeah, I'm a twin too, so that's, we weren't like that. I mean, we fought each other, but that was it.
In June of 2008, Conyers police officer Myra Scruggs was called out to their home due to a dispute. She said that the girls came across as sweet and innocent, but that she could see by Nikki's face that Nikki was scared of the girls.
It's probably because they just beat her ass.
Right? I guess nothing came.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, me and Eric were twins, but we big as fuck.
That's true. They looked tall. The girls looked tall, but I don't know.
I mean, they were athletic, so
yeah.
I'm sure they were pretty stout. And it was just their mom against them two. You know what I mean?
They said, or the officer said that she could tell that the mom was scared of the two of them. But I guess there wasn't any proof that like anything had actually happened. And so Officer Scruggs left, but remained in the area.
So just a few minutes later, Nikki called the police again, and she was screaming and crying. So Officer Scruggs returned to the scene where she saw her frantic. She had scratches and cuts on her neck and her chest, which she then looked at the two twin girls. They didn't have any scratches or bruises on them, and they didn't show any remorse or emotion at all. I mean, if they just beat their mom's ass, I doubt they're going to show any remorse to that.
Exactly. And they also tried to say that they were defending themselves against her.
Yeah, oh yeah,
but they had no marks, and she was the only one with marks.
I mean, okay, to play devil's advocate, if somebody can try and swing on me and I can dodge it and beat their ass.
That's true.
I'm still defending myself.
It is 2 against 1.
You know what I mean? And I'm not going to lie, I got a twin, and ain't nobody going to put their hands on him. Don't nobody beat his ass at me. And he's going to say the same thing.
So after this happened, the family returned to court again, and the judge ruled that the girls were ungovernable and switched custody back over to the great-grandmother. Nikki's grandmother, girl's great-grandmother.
I know that judge tired of seeing that family.
Right? And she ordered that they go to counseling with their mother. So the girls remained in the custody of their great-grandmother until they were once again back in court for truancy and for running away.
At this point, on January 5th, 2010, the judge returned custody to Nikki, which apparently upset the girls. And inside the hallway of the courthouse, they screamed, "If I have to go back and live with you, I'm going to kill you." 8 days later, Nikki was found murdered in her house. And here we are.
So on January 13th, 2010, Jazz and Taz reportedly came home from school to find a bloody scene in their home and their mother dead in their bathtub. Jazz ran towards the road, like waving her arms and screaming at a police car that happened to be passing their home. It was serving a warrant to someone. It just happened to be in the area.
This was the day of the murder?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even check that part out. And then the cop didn't stop?
No, they did.
No.
They found their mother, and one of the girls ran out to the street to wave the cop down.
See, when I first saw that part, I thought they flagged it down to like try to play something off. You know what I mean?
No.
Okay.
Well, I guess technically, but
no, not playing that off. Like they were trying to like hide it. You know what I mean? Like to keep it. You know what I mean? To keep it hidden.
Nope.
Nikki had been beaten and stabbed about approximately 80 times with a kitchen knife. And if there's no sign of a forced entry, they assumed that Nikki knew her killer. And they didn't necessarily assume that the girls were suspects at first because of their frantic emotions. And if seeing their mom, they must have thought, they're all over the place. They didn't really point them as a suspect that instant. Well, they didn't point them out as a suspect right away.
So the police took the girls down to the station while investigators arrived at the home. And on the way down to the police station, Taz began to bite on her arm, telling law enforcement that it was like a nervous habit that she does when she's upset. Suspicious.
At the police station, the girls were upset, and Detective Ken Swift asked the girls if there was anything he could do to help them feel better or help them make them feel more comfortable or help try to ease it out, everything. Because at this point, he didn't think that the girls were suspects or had anything to do with it. And then the girls replied, "Can we watch CSI?" Yeah, CSI. I don't know if it was Las Vegas. I don't know if it was New York or Miami. You know what I'm saying? My boy Horatio. You know what I'm saying? It's getting real. You know what I'm saying? That right there made the hair stand up on his neck, and he knew right then and there that something was up.
So the girls had also both worn gloves to the police station, which...
Did they ever say what kind of gloves it was?
No, but it was January, so I don't know how January is in Georgia, but it could get cold, so I guess it probably wasn't too out of the ordinary. But the police asked them to remove their gloves so that they could see their hands and their arms, which both had bite marks and scratches. And the girls initially...
Mama was smart. Mm-hmm. She did. I bet you she bit him on purpose.
And the girls initially claimed that it was from a fight that they had gotten into with each other.
So at this point, the law enforcement officers then separated the two girls. And both the girls were saying that they were about 10 minutes late getting to school that morning. Didn't they say that? I believe that's why...
That was at the fight, supposedly.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was about to say.
So they were late, and they said that they walked all the way to school, which I guess their school wasn't too close. All right, meanwhile, at the crime scene, the investigators got to work processing the whole scene. Lieutenant Chris Moon of the Conyers Police Department said that it was hands down the bloodiest scene that he had ever been to, and that you could literally smell the blood in the air at the crime scene because it was just, there was blood everywhere.
There were blood stains on the carpet and on the walls. There were drag stains from the living room to the the bathrooms. And also there were like drag marks and foot marks from leading from outside, which indicated that Nikki maybe tried to get away and then she was caught and then it was dragged back into the house. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. To me, it looked like they seemed brutal. It seemed like they were either they could have like snapped, but I don't know.
So later on, investigators found that Nikki had made it out of the door and she made it to the house next door. And the resident was interviewed and he said that he did hear yelling and somebody ring his doorbell, but he was in bed because this is before they went to school. So this is... I
probably thought it was Jehovah's Witnesses. Not nothing against them, but if somebody's banging on your door early in the morning, 9 times out of 10 it's a Jehovah's Witness.
Exactly. So he was in bed and didn't get up to check. So police could see where Nikki's bare feet exited the house and re-entered because there was bloody footprints.
So investigators found bloody clothes that belonged to the girls, I believe, that were found in the washing machine, bleach on the floor, which I'm sure indicated that they were trying to clean up their mess, trying to clean up some of the evidence. They also found one of the twins' hair and Nikki's teeth. And then the bite marks that were on Taz's arm that she had tried to cover up, and then she also said that they were from her and her sister fighting. They ended up, I'm sure, pulling dental records from Nikki, and they ended up indicating and confirming that those bite marks on her arm belonged to her mother.
So the investigators also found a pair of brown boots that had a ton of blood on them. They were inside a shoebox in Taz's room. And then also a clump of hair that had been pulled out of somebody's head that was wrapped in a napkin and shoved into the toe of a shoe.
So later on, a journal was found in the home where the girls had been passing back and forth. Seems like to me that they were plotting on talking back and forth on how much they hated their mother, and if we don't get rid of her soon, we will never be able to.
So the attack on Nikki was so brutal that it completely severed her spinal cord. There was also stab wounds to her jugular, the back of her neck, and her lungs.
Yeesh. So back at the police station, the detectives continued questioning the girls, and initially they said they had been 10 minutes late to school and that they had walked. However, surveillance footage showed that the two girls had hitched a ride from a stranger and that they were more than 2 hours late to school that day.
So, as for the cuts and bites on their hands and arms, the girls had originally said that it was from them getting into a fight with each other, but then the story switched to, oh, this is a self-inflicted nervous tick that we have. You know, we bite and scratch ourselves.
Police Captain Jackie Dunn said that the demeanor of the girls didn't sit right with law enforcement, so that made them take a second look into the twins and their whereabouts and everything that happened leading to that dreadful day.
So she said that the girls would cry a lot, but there wasn't ever any real tears, so kind of like they were faking it. And then when they were asked to describe their mother, they were very insulting of her. Like, you would think if you just lost your mother, you're like reminiscing about how much you loved her, but theirs was more like
they was throwing shade on her. Yeah, they were talking shit about her,
which is not what the police were expecting.
Yeah. However, the detectives didn't have any solid evidence, so the girls were released into the custody of their great-grandmother.
They were collecting all of this evidence, but you still have to run the DNA, all of that. So, like, this day, they didn't have the match for the dental records for the bite. They didn't have the match for the hair.
Yeah, some of that stuff takes months.
And all of that stuff. So
some of that stuff takes months.
Yeah, at this point, they felt strongly that it was them, but they didn't have any reason to hold them.
We're gonna let you go, but don't leave town.
The girls finished out the school year, went to their school dances, and went about their lives like normal until the last day of school.
On May 21st, 2010, both the girls were arrested and charged with felony murder and aggravated battery assault, which they both pled not guilty to.
Nikki's old boss, Michelle Temple, stated that the girls had become difficult to handle for Nikki, that they had stolen money from Michelle, and they stole money from their great-grandmother too, and she said that it had gotten to the point where the great-grandmother had to put a deadbolt on her door to her bedroom while the girls were living with her. So while they were incarcerated waiting for trial, 4 years went past. They were offered a plea deal and they accepted and finally confessed to killing their mother. And
which I'm sure was part of the plea deal.
Yeah, they had to confess and they had to, I guess, provide details of it.
No, them detectives just wanted some tea. I just gotta know what happened.
And they each got a charge of voluntary manslaughter. So the girls went on to tell law enforcement exactly what happened the day of Nikki's death.
So that morning, the girls had fought with their mom over waking up late and running late from school, which they said that the mom was threatening them with a pot from the kitchen. So then Jazz took a vase, cracked it over her mom's head, which then Taz, I'm trying to make sure I got this right, Taz then grabbed the pot and then cracked her mom with the pot. So then Nikki turned around and grabbed the knife. So after that, shit got real.
So Taz managed to get the knife from Nikki and stab Nikki while Jazz was strangling Nikki with a ribbon from a medallion. Probably
like a medal or something.
Yeah, one of those award things. So while they struggled, Nikki fought for her life. She was screaming, biting, punching, scratching, doing anything she could to try and stay alive, which actually ended up not benefiting her because she's dead, but it
benefited her and them catching who did it.
Exactly. So after that, Taz continued to stab her, and then Jazz took the knife and stabbed her as well.
So they dragged her from the living room, I presume, into the bathroom where they began to fill up the water and then put her in it. They said as they watched her die, their mother told them, I hate you, you're going to go to jail for this. They said they both apologized to Nikki, which to me seems kind of like some BS. And then they watched her sink below the surface and die.
So they said after that they cried for a long time, and then they argued a little bit with each other, and then they decided to attempt to clean the scene, which obviously...
I wonder what the argument was over. I guarantee it was over who was going to clean it.
But, there was so much blood, and this was such a brutal murder that it was impossible for them to get that scene. There's no way. There's just no way that they would have been able to clean the scene.
They were trying to figure out a way to get it cleaned up for Mama's boyfriend come home.
Yeah, and so then they changed their clothes and put them into the washing machine, which is where the police found them. Took Nikki's purse and her phone, the pot and the knife, and put it all in a plastic bag, and then went to school like nothing happened.
The two continued to play the victim role when trying to play a lot of the blame on their mother. And then after confessing, they were both giving 30-year prison sentences in 2014. Now, the girls are currently carrying out these sentences in separate prisons, and they are not scheduled to get out anytime soon.
They were eligible for parole, and it got denied.
What was it? I think it was last year, wasn't it? I think it was last year.
They're not going to get out before this is
I don't blame them.
They shouldn't.
No.
A lot of people were upset that they got a voluntary manslaughter charge.
They should have got first-degree murder.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. There's so many things in here that point towards this being premeditated. Maybe not the exact way it went down, but killing their mother was in their minds already.
They found a diary with them already talking about all this stuff. Also, not to mention, in the middle of the court, in the court hallway, she stated that she was gonna kill her 8 days before she died. So when you add both of those in, and then on top of all the numerous distress calls that were called to the house with the girls and their mother, the issues with their grandmother, their great grandmother, it was a lot of red flags. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I would say the judges in the system should have intervened more. But at this point, that's what I was going to say. At this point, like, where and what do you do?
We have a lot of cases that we do where, like, police or courts have not done what they should have. But, in this case, custody was switched around, which iffy. But they had them going to therapy together. They had them going to single therapy with their mom. Like,
maybe at that point, I don't know, maybe they should have locked the kids up. Juvenile detention. Or foster care.
Yeah, but they not. If there's.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because they were truancy, they were running away and they were acting out and all that stuff. So me personally, if my mom threatened me with juvenile detention all the time.
I think that because like when the police were called to the house, they went to court over that. So I believe stuff like this was brought to court. I don't know what they had to do because obviously it's juvenile records, it's sealed. Yeah. So they may very well have had to do time or had to do community service or whatever. But overall, it's just a sad situation because it seems like there were steps taken to try and remedy the issues with these girls.
It's three women's lives was lost.
Yeah.
Nikki, their mom's lives was lost. These two young girls' lives were taken away. Granted, could it have been avoided? Nobody knows. Then we probably never will know.
It's just really awful.
It is. It definitely is. This one, when we first was looking at cases to do, when I came across this one, I was like, "Yo, we got to do this one." Domestic abuse and domestic violence in homes, not just with spouses, but with parents and kids, and vice versa. It's not being spoke about a lot more. You know what I mean?
You also don't generally hear about the kids going against the parent, like. Obviously, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, but from all the evidence and information we read, it really seemed like Nikki was trying to be a good parent, and these girls just were, I guess, beyond help.
I feel like, because their mom was, I'm sure their mom was in and out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they probably had like a vendetta, you know what I mean? They were biased, so they hated their mom. They felt a certain type of way. So when their mom tried to turn her life around and try to do good, they already had their mindset.
It's just a really awful situation.
It definitely is.
It's really sad.
But we want to know what y'all opinions are on this situation, on this case.
Do you think anything could have been done to prevent what happened with the girls, like the road that they went down with all of this?
Let us know what y'all think. Let us know if you got any ideas on the cases. Love y'all. Check y'all out. Have a good night.